every relationship ultimately comes to an end. Whether this is a relationship with another human being, a relationship with a blow-up doll, no judgment, whether it's a relationship with a video game, nothing lasts forever. Nothing is infinite. Everything has an expiration date, except for, of course, your love and appreciation, objectively, of Papa Stix here. In this instance, I think it's finally time for me to admit something I haven't been able to admit to myself now for weeks. And that is that it is time for me to quit a gacha game that I've been playing since the day it released. This is a game that I did not miss logging into for a single day since it released back at the end of 2024. This was one of my favorite gacha games of all time and continues to be one of my favorite gacha games because even though I'm uninstalling it, even though I am moving on from it, I don't think it is objectively a bad game. I still believe objectively it is a really good game. It's just at this juncture, what has happened with the handling and the management of it is just, it has grown out of control, and I can no longer really warrant investing time or resources into playing it purely because I don't think I can afford to financially. The game in question, of course, is Girls Frontline 2. Now, I will point out, I do have a platoon in the game called Flaccid. This is a platoon that I had with my wife, Mrs. Stix. She is going to continue to play this, by the way. She still absolutely loves the game. It is her second favorite gacha game, but I just can't anymore. I have played it every day. I've played every story. I've played every event. I've cleared all the content. I have almost every unit. I've invested thousands of dollars into this. I have been sponsored for every single major patch since the game released. I've made tens of thousands of dollars by supporting this game and this company. I have made a ton of videos specifically catering to guides and just showcasing everything this game has to offer, because it is, again, and I'm using the term objectively here because I don't think anyone can contest this opinion. Objectively, this is one of the biggest gooner gachas out there with a genuinely good story, phenomenal character designs, and honestly some relatively decent gameplay as well with, I mean, I don't want to say moderate difficulty because there are units that kind of trivialize content, but for the most part, yeah, it's relatively easy. It doesn't really require much time investment. But everything that has been going on with the game in the last few months has just been, I think, unacceptable. Every person I know, unfortunately, seems to be quitting the game, except for several of the platoon members that want to hang around. I have lost dozens of platoon members in the last like 2 or 3 months, and they've been replaced with new platoon members. I have seen dozens of friends, several content creators all uninstall the game, and that is because at the end of the day, while this game is clearly one of the best aesthetically gacha games out there, there's no denying the fact that the studio doesn't necessarily care about the players, the community anymore, and instead would rather cater the game to whales or wallets, rather, bank accounts specifically, rather than the individual. This was made apparent when more recently there was that boycott held after the skin controversy happened, and then Mika held a gathering at their headquarters where they were going to listen to the feedback of Chinese players, and then ultimately they decided within just 3 hours to release a PSA where there was essentially all these different changes being made to the game, and they said this took into account the feedback received from the players when that couldn't have been possible in the short time it took them to turn out the announcement on social media and to design the entire like graphic and everything. So it was made abundantly clear that they wanted to give the illusion that they cared about players and their respective community when they didn't. And you know what? That's fine. Honestly, that is okay. There are tons of companies out there that don't give a fuck about their communities, right? Hoyo is known to give the middle finger to their community. I think in the case of Kudo, they are one of the rare exceptions to the rule, or rather to what is more commonly practiced in gacha. And I mean, that's also why Wuthering Waves and Punishing Graven are wildly successful. And as such, you know, just because we want them to be more free-to-play friendly, just because we want to be compensated, doesn't mean they necessarily have to. They are a business, they're a company, and they're going to do what is most beneficial for them financially. We can criticize them for it, we can complain about it, we can be upset with it, but at the end of the day, they are going to do whatever is best for them, that is going to line their pockets with the most money possible. And in so doing, they will alienate a section of the community that doesn't want to support that. Content creators, players, global, within China, and I just happen to fall into that category. Before we go any further, I do want to take a moment here to thank all of my incredible patrons over on Patreon and my YouTube channel members who allow for me to continue to do dedicated videos like this every single day. You guys are absolutely phenomenal, and I genuinely cannot thank you all enough for the support. I have been on the fence about quitting for a while now, and then I realized, I think about 2 days ago, I happened across a thread over on our Stix subreddit, which you should be a member of if you're not already, that goes on to say, due to the drama around the game, Pridewin, which is one of the biggest guide-making websites for gacha overall, they have like dozens, probably several dozen gacha games that they cover regularly, Pridewin to be shutting down their Girls Frontline 2 section. And the reason for this is that, and they state here verbatim, the recent dramas with the gacha skins, which is something we've covered extensively, and then the ramping power creep, although they are continuing to do guides for Honkai Star Rail, even though the power creep in that's quite egregious. And the direction the game is taking has caused our staff to lose faith in the game, and we have failed to find any suitable replacements to take their place and continue updating the tier list and reviews. So with this in mind, they stated they are going to be shutting down the Girls Frontline 2 section, and tier lists will be retired after 2 weeks. After I saw that, I realized everyone, literally everyone, the content creators, the players, the guide makers, the guide making websites, the tier, everything and everyone is leaving. Nobody wants to support the company. And that is because we deserve more. If you don't think so, if you don't think this is a good idea or a big deal, that is perfectly fine. You don't have to. You can enjoy a reduced player size. You can enjoy what the future holds, which is probably going to be more features, more mechanics gated behind quite exorbitant prices. You can enjoy ridiculously power creeped units that are expensive to acquire, and dupes are expensive to acquire, and then that ultimately one-shot the entire field in one turn. Sure, that is what you can happily look forward to. That is perfectly fine. Not everyone is going to take offense to this. Not everyone is going to want change, and that is fine. Some people are stupid. But I personally think that we deserve more. I think Girls Frontline 2 is an incredible gacha, but Girls Frontline 2 players are not terrible people. They deserve to be treated with respect. They deserve to be rewarded for playing your game. And unfortunately, that is not something that you guys are willing to do anymore. And in so doing, I think I've come to the realization that I just can't support it anymore by playing it. Like, would I do a sponsored video for the beginning of the future? Yeah, because at the end of the day, I love this game, and they could change. Like, in the future, they could change. They could make sufficient, adequate changes that make me return, which is another reason that I'm not going to, like, quit or shut down the platoon, because I think every studio sometimes makes radicalized, fucked up decisions and choices, but they can always come back. And I think just like that, I can too. So would I do sponsored videos for this in the future? Yeah, definitely. Would I ever return and play this again? 100%. But at present, I can't justify any kind of investment, whether that's just me playing the game, me talking about the game, me investing money into the game. And I know most people that I connect with can't justify or warrant that either. And that is why, effective probably actually, I was gonna say immediately, but a couple weeks ago, I stopped logging in. But effective immediately, I will be uninstalling the game. If you want to join the platoon though, in hopes that I eventually come back, y'all are more than welcome to. My wife is going to run it because she, again, continues to really enjoy the game. I will continue covering where the progression for the game goes. If they make alterations, whether they continue to decline downwards or somehow make a re-emergence and players are happy with the state of the game. But until that happens, I don't think I will be back. So for now, so long, Girls Frontline 2. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.